And so when you see all this corruption going on in the church, I understand why people are concerned. This is the apostasy in the church. We do think this is part of the third secret that Our Lady is trying to warn us about. And then, of course, then we have Pope Benedict XVI and Sister Lucy both pointing us to chapters 8 to 13 of the Apocalypse. Say, read those. Well, in chapter 12, it talks about the woman clothed with the sun, which we truly believe is Our Lady of Fatima with the miracle of the sun. And then it also talks about, the dragon who's going to attack her other children who follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, right? It's faithfully. So this is a war against Christians, faithful Christians. And then you have in chapter 13, it talks about the dragon and the two beasts, the beast of the sea, which is the world political power, and the beast of the land, which is the world religious power. And when it talks about this world religious power, it talks about the beast with two horns that looks like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. So, this again, Our Lady's trying to warn us. And it's really funny because when you hear these things, you start thinking, oh my goodness, like, is this going to be like the Antichrist that's coming at some point? And my girlfriend and I, we have had this ongoing discussion for years. Does the Antichrist come after the period of peace or before the period of peace? Because quite frankly, we always thought that, the period of peace was going to come, and then later on, when things degenerate again, then the final Antichrist is going to come. But it could be that we get an Antichrist figure before that, or an Antichrist. Like, we don't know. So we were always having this conversation because things are getting so bad right now. They want to have this Agenda 2030, and they want, all these different things going on, and all the corruption in the church. Like, could it be that the Antichrist is going to come before? So I was trying to look this up, and I was looking at older videos that Father Gruner had, and there was a video of Father Gruner with John Venari where they were talking about, when is the Antichrist going to come? And a spoiler alert, they basically said that, they don't really know. It really depends on Catholics' response to the message of Our Lady of Fatima. And this is what makes our participation, our response so urgent, because the more people who are going to live the message of Fatima, the more chance we have of stopping this greater chastisement that's spoken about in chapter 13 of the Apocalypse, and bring about quicker this period of peace that Our Lady is going to give us, if the Pope will consecrate Russia properly. And we need to pray for him to do that.
The question now is about the timetable. Will the Antichrist come before or after? Well, if the Pope were to do the consecration of Russia tomorrow, literally in the calendar year 2014, the Antichrist wouldn't come. However, if the consecration of Russia is not done soon, there are certainly people who hold that the Antichrist would follow after the annihilation of nations and after the smoke clears, which some people think America will win. I don't know. I think it's more likely that Russia will win, but Russia may not win either, because after that, China will come in behind them after they've struggled out, and that's where the Antichrist would come in after they've established the one world government under China.
So it's really quite interesting, that whether the Antichrist comes before or after really depends on our participation. And so this is why we need to know the message of Fatima. We have to obey the message of Fatima, and we have to spread the message of Fatima to as many people as possible, so that more and more people will live the message of Fatima. Basically, war or peace depends on our response. Okay, so it's extremely important. The other thing is that if you read some of the documents that the Freemasons wrote, they said that it would take 3 world wars to get the world where they want it to be in order to finalize their plans. Well, we've had 2 world wars. We have not had a 3rd world war yet. So that's looming over us as well. So, it's really urgent that the Fatima message is obeyed so that we can stop some of these chastisements. June 2029 will be 100 years since Our Lady asked for the consecration of Russia. And we know that this 100-year period is very, very important, because in 1931, Our Lady appeared to Sister Lucy, and he said, make it known to my ministers that if they don't obey my requests, like the King of France, they will fall into misfortunes. Of course, you have to know what happened to the King of France. Well, yes, we know about the French Revolution. Now, the French Revolution started in June 1789. The king wasn't beheaded until January 1793, but the French Revolution actually began in June 1789. A lot of people don't realize that in June 1689, 100 years before, our Lord asked St. Margaret Mary Alacoque to ask the King of France to consecrate France to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, because if he had done that, all of Europe would have seen the blessings that France had because of this consecration. But King Louis XIV didn't do it, neither did his son or grandson, and 100 years to the day of the request, the French Revolution began. Well, Our Lady asked Sister Lucy for the consecration on June 13th, 1929. So 100 years, if you follow that same logic, 100 years from that date is June 13th, 2029. Okay. And then 6 months after that, it's Agenda 2030. So I don't know, all these things seem to be falling into place.